Hey, good evening, everybody. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista. As always, welcome to Counterparts, where we spotlight conversations with creative minds. And today, funny minds and heartfelt minds, and somebody just doing some great work. And that's one of the blessings that we've had, right, George? We've had people here
Yeah,
just doing amazing work.
definitely.
And John Larocchia is going to be on the show this evening, and we're going to be talking about his organization called Laughter Saves Lives, and we're going to hear all about how that came about. So please don't go away. It's going to be a great show. Hang tight. Come on back. Welcome back, and it's isn't it a joy? George and I, by the way, when we have a guest that inspires us, we'll like literally after the show we'll sit like this and we'll talk for another hour.
It's a whole nother
But
show.
it's a whole other show about how inspired we were. So
Yes.
we're very excited to have John Larocchia on the show today. And but first we're gonna go. I'm gonna turn it over to George. We're going to do some love to our sponsor. We're going to do some love to our sponsor. We're going to give some love to our
Not that kind of show, John.
No, not yet. It'll turn into that eventually. But yeah, so go ahead. Take it away, George.
Right.
I got nervous.
Yeah. The Counterpart Show is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family-owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Find out why Wellness Resources supplements are the top choice of health-conscious individuals around the world. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com. And when you enter the promo code Counterparts, you will get free shipping on all orders. So make sure you go there and check them out. All right. So a little bit about our guest today. We're very excited to have Mr. John Larocchia on. So a little bit about John. John has been a stand-up comedian for well over 20 years. He was a New York City firefighter for 21 years, retiring in July of 2008. Over the years, John has branched out from stand-up comedy to producing, acting, writing, and even a host of a radio show and keynote speaker. In 2011, John established the Laughter Saves Lives Foundation and Comedy Tour with the mission to provide assistance to first responders around the country trying to overcome financial hardship due to an unforeseen tragedy or illness. And this is going to be a very wonderful conversation with him. Very excited to have him on. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Larocchia. All right.
All right.
Welcome, sir.
Whoa,
Welcome.
thanks for having me. I was all excited. I turned on the show. I was just about to call my manager and like, they're going to make love to their sponsors. What's going on? What kind of a show did you put me on here?
The show's going
You have
downhill.
to see our sponsors. They're gorgeous. It's hard to
Well, I didn't say I was going to tune out. I just said I wasn't prepared.
it's hard to keep our hands off our sponsors. Anyway. John, thank you so much for being on. It's such an honor to have you on here.
I am so honored to be here, and thank you for giving me the time. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is one of the things that George and I talk about constantly is how, you know, these stories that we really feel that if we have a platform, we have to tell these stories and we got to get that message out there and we got to raise awareness, you know, on so many different subjects. And this is one of those things that's really, you know, incredible of the work that you're doing. And we'd love to really help any way that we possibly can, you know, so this is really awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Well, I hope you don't mind my background.
No, it's good.
This is my green screen, dirty basement.
Oh, can I download that? Can you send me that so I can
I
download
was
it?
going to use that one myself, but
I'll have that.
I got the elliptical. Like, just that's the only reason I bought, you know, the $2,000 elliptical. So I had it in the picture. People go, "Oh, he must work out."
Wow, he works out.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So we're gonna turn it over to George. He's gonna ask a couple of questions, and then from there, we're just gonna start the conversation. Take it away, George.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for being here. So I just want to go back a little bit. I want to folks that don't know your story. Obviously, again, you were a New York City firefighter, and then, you know, going through 9/11, and I know you had lost friends during 9/11, and that kind of, that kind of change your perspective on things. So talk about, that whole part of your life, and then how you got into comedy and how you kind of started a whole brand new career out of that.
Yeah. Well, going back before I was on the fire department, or as we say, before I was on the jab. If you ask your fireman, you're on the jab? Yeah, I'm on the jab. Right? So before I was a timid, shy kid. I was afraid of heights, not too brave, not too good with smoke. Hey, take the fireman's test. My friend Jeannie said, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I went to Queens College, an accounting major, had no desire to go into that field, was bouncing around with a few jobs. And my friend Jeannie said, hey, why don't you take the fireman's test? You love helping people, and you're athletic, and you're physical, and you're in great shape, which I still am. Thank you very much. And, hence the elliptical.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? What a challenge to take this test. In my head, I went, I need some challenges in my life. I'm not going to be a fireman, but let me work out for the test. Get me in good shape. So I started working out, running up and down hills with weighted vests. So I ultimately take the physical test, and I pass, and I do really well.
Wow.
I take the written test. I do really well. Whatever time it took, now they can call me, hey, we're getting close to your number. I'll come in for the psychological, which I was worried about, of course. Go in, pass the psychological. Now they call me and give me a date to start the academy. And I'm like, holy crap.
Wow. So you're in.
I cannot be a fireman. Johnny Larocchia can't be a firefighter. You see how I said fireman at the time? There were no females. I can't say that anymore. I get in trouble. So I apologize, firefighter. So get through the academy and get put in a unit in Manhattan, ladder 12. And I transferred 10 years later to the hazmat unit, and then bam, I'm in the middle of the biggest disaster of any fire department ever. I lost 19 friends, 19 guys that I work with.
Wow.
50 guys. Picture this. 50 guys that I could talk to, like go up and say, how's your family? How you doing? Whether it be somebody that I taught, somebody that was in my probie class, somebody that I worked with. How do you go to work the next day and lose a third of the people you work with are gone? Picture that. Any job. Could you imagine going back? I went back to work on September. It's all a blur. But I think I was down there from the 11th to the 12th, was sent home on the 12th, think I was called back on the 13th. It might have been the 14th.
Wow.
They're all gone.
Wow.
They're all gone. All the cars are parked outside the firehouse.
Oh,
and when I pulled up that morning, I went, what? It didn't hit me. I went, wow, a lot of cars here. And then I went, oh my God.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about it.
So that was my kind of story as how I got to 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get over it. You never get over that.
Right.
This 9/11 was my worst ever. It maybe since the first or the second one of my worst ever, where I said, see, if I put on my uniform, how many funerals did I go to in that uniform? Yeah. I can't put it on. It's a fight to put it on. It's like a death suit to me. A lot of people walk around, they're very proud to be in the uniform. And I am when I get it on. But my family said, you can't do what you did last year. I helped run a ceremony downtown. So I went to Long Island, and there's a very simple memorial, and a guy was there, and he started crying. And I said, let me leave this guy alone. He's remembering a friend or whatever. And I got in my car, and I said, something telling me I should go back. And I walked back, and I said, hey, brother, I said, who did you lose? And he goes, I lost my friend. He was a good friend of mine. I go, tell me about him. And the guy lit up. And I just stood there and listened. And then he stopped, and he goes, hey, who did you lose on 9/11? And I talked about some of my guys. Half hour, that was my 9/11 this year. Then this is really cool. I went, I picked up a rental car on the 11th. I drove to Kent, Ohio on the 12th. And on the 13th, we did a comedy show with an organization that's run by firefighters. We raised enough money to buy 94 coats and 94 pairs of shoes for kids this winter who will not have them. And I did that in memory of my guys.
Wow.
And that was my 9/11 this year. That's what I walked away and I said, man, I did something good this year for them.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea of the foundation is to, number one, make people laugh as a way to remember them. Those guys made me laugh.
Right.
People look at, you hear about firefighters, especially FDNY 9/11. Oh, they were heroes. Wow, they were heroes. And they're putting them up on a pedestal. And they were. But man, they were freaking regular. They were coaches. And they were funny. People would come in the funny firehouse and go, who's the comic? You're the comic?
Right.
I was funnier than you. Dennis is funny. And I would say, yeah, you're right. I go, I just listen to what they're saying. Then I go on stage and I use their stuff and get paid for it.
Right. That is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How you meet people.
That's why we laughed one day in the firehouse after 9/11. I don't know how long it was. And the first thing you do is you go, wow, that felt good.
Right.
Oh my God, should I be laughing?
Right.
You had that whole thing just like Saturday Night Live. Hey, can we be funny again?
Right.
So it hit me. I go, what a great way to remember them. I was doing comedy at the time. Let me start a foundation based on laughter as a way to remember them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, what was that pivotal moment that you remember thinking, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I have to tell you that the months that followed were a blur because we usually work 2 days on, 2 days off, 2 nights on, 72 hours off, or we switch with somebody. We'll work 24 and we'll have 3 or 4 days off. We were working every other day for 4 months, 24-hour shifts, because in the hazardous materials unit, you have a level of training that you can't just bring anybody into that unit.
Right.
So we lost a third of the unit. So we had to fill those spots pretty much until we trained guys. And you don't train somebody in a month. Right. So it's all a blur. But I remember, like I said, laughing and at one point going, that's how I choose you look in the mirror at one point and you go, everybody's saying never forget. I'm saying never forget. But to me, and I don't look at anybody else, is that enough? I should be doing more than saying never forget. Let me do something to remember them. So that's how I started the Laughter Saves Lives Foundation and Comedy Tour. Well, we'll do shows for anybody, for anything. It's always, the backdrop is Laughter Saves Lives. But then we'll do special shows where I hear something and I go, I want to work with them and raise some money for that charity. And that's what we did in Kent, Ohio. We pretty much sponsored the show, the foundation, so they made more money. So who paid for the rental car? Laughter Saves Lives Foundation. Who paid the comics? Laughter Saves Lives Foundation. Why? Because then at the end of the night, that charity, who, forgive me, I can't remember the name of it right now, that charity had more money to buy more coats and more shoes for kids.
Right.
And we did that in memory of the guys. That's a home run.
That is a complete home run. I mean, that's incredible. I'm sorry, George.
No, go ahead.
This is another thing that we do. We cut each other off.
Yeah, we step over each other all the
time. Did you, when you first actually decided that you were going to do this, did you have any kind of what was the barriers that you had, or any kind of hurdles that you had to overcome?
Running a foundation. First of all, you go, I want to do something good. Hey, Mr. Lawyer, I want to start a foundation. Can you help me? Sure, John, $2,000. Hey, IRS, I want to start a foundation. Yeah, you got to pay a $500, whatever it is.
Right.
And then there are times where you get a little overwhelmed, right? And you're like, so much work, and I got to do this with the kids. I got to do this. I don't know if I can do this. And then I take a look at my wall over there, and on my wall is a writing list of who was working on 9/11. Every name is crossed out, and every name is replaced by somebody who was lost. So my name, I was supposed to work on 9/11. My name is on the writing list with a line through it, go for your medical, and somebody who replaced me was lost. So if I don't do something good, when I get up there, they're going to kick my ass, right? Right. You better do something. Hey, listen, we always change our schedules. Not mad at you. Don't feel guilty, but do something good. And that's what I try to do. And I'm only human. I got my days, depressed, whatever. But when you're on that, like on October 26th, we're doing this show in Long Island. In memory of my guys, always in memory of my guys, we're raising money for some really cool charities. One of them, General Needs, they buy basic stuff for homeless and needy veterans. Really nice boots, things that we take for granted, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, going out there every day, socks. If they find them a home, a mattress, pots and pans. So they're one of the organizations we're doing the show for. In the audience will probably be some widows from 9/11, some kids from 9/11, and
Wow.
I'm going to see them in my audience laughing.
Wow.
That is so cool to be able to have a night, raise money for cool charities, and have people laughing, family members of guys that we lost. I
Mhm.
think they would be proud of me for that. You know,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and it's important to me to do this in a way that I'm not using 9/11 as a the crutch is the wrong word, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Sure.
I
Yep.
I wrestle with this. Are we are we doing are we mentioning 9/11 too much here? Are we doing and it's a
Right.
constant balance of
Right.
I just want to do something good, but I want to do it in their name. So it's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
We've done shows at the veterans hospitals, right?
Wow.
World War II vets. We go in there. The guys fall asleep during the show. We bring them fruit, you know. And I've had comics say to me, because any comic that wants to work for me before COVID, I would say, because I do a lot of shows and I pay comics money, I go, you got to do the veteran show first. You want to work for me? Got to do the veteran show first.
Wow.
And then when they get there, you know, comics like to sit in the green room and joke. I go, hey, go up to room 325 and get George. You'll see him. He's at the door. Bring him down. They don't have enough help in the
You
hospital.
don't have enough help.
Right? So,
Wow.
all right, John. And they'll be wheeling this guy down, and then they start to talk to them. And the guys start to talk back. And I've had an international comic, Jim DeLakis, who's one of my favorite acts,
Mhm.
say to me, that was the most moving show I've ever done. He goes, not the room, not the 8 guys in the room. He goes, talking to that veteran and
Yeah.
hearing his story and listening to him because they were on the same people every day. People don't listen to them, you know?
Right.
And it's so cool. It is so cool.
And it's so awesome that you're validating, because you're validating all involved, not just the veterans, but you're also validating these comics that really have no idea because, usually you're kind of out there with, and it kind of, for me, it feels like it almost puts things into perspective,
Yep.
making your material probably be a little bit more relevant. And I want to ask you, George, I'm sorry, I know you have questions too, but I have one more. I wanted to ask, how do you balance the material that you're putting together to kind of coincide where it's funny, but yet, you don't want to go.
Well, let me tell you this. When we've done some of the veteran shows, I've had comics go to me, hey, can I curse? Hey, can I say this? I go, they were shot at.
Right.
They were in the military. You think the F-bomb or something like that is going to upset the guy?
Exactly.
Be vulgar. I never use comics who are vulgar.
Right.
But say whatever the frig you want. They're so happy we're here.
Right.
And they've been there. And so
Yeah.
I don't ask anybody to change their act. I never ask a comic, no matter what show, any shows, don't change your act. Have fun, be yourself. Every once in a while you run into a problem, but in general, I find that it's funny because the comics know that my shows are more on the clean side.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ask them to be clean. I use comics that are dirty that I can laugh forever, but it's not me. I'm not dirty, but I don't judge anybody else. But every once in a while, there'll be a comic who I know has a bit or two, and he won't use that bit in my show. I did an audition show a few weeks ago, and I had a buddy of mine hire the comics, get the comics to audition. And one of the comics said, oh, listen, I want to do this bit. You think that's all right? And I go, yeah, why would you think that? Well, Steve told us we all, on John's shows, we got to be on the cleaner side. It's kind of nice to get that respect.
Yeah.
But most times it's not a problem.
That's cool.
Right. It's interesting talking about the power of giving. Another obstacle I would assume that you had to, just overcome was you said that you were shy, right? You were a shy kid and stuff like that. So now you're on stage in front of people doing this. I mean, first of all, I can't even imagine the feeling that you have up there. But also, do you remember the first time you went on stage, your actual first gig, and how that
Oh
went?
my God. The first paid gig. The first gig I do remember. I was taking a class, and the final, they call it the final, was at Dangerfield's Comedy Club in New York City. So you'd meet in a studio in Manhattan for 10 weeks, write material with the class and the instructor, and that was at Dangerfield. So the week before, I said, I need to get on stage before Dangerfield's. So I went to an open mic at Chuckles Comedy Club in Long Island, and I had my notes. I was like a nervous wreck, had my notes, and I get up there and I copped out. I go, oh, this is my first time on stage, and I started like reading my jokes, and I'm really just sucking wind and getting nothing, right? And all of a sudden, there's a firehouse right next door to the comedy club. The alarm goes off at the firehouse, right? And they knew I was a firefighter, so I looked at the audience and I go, oh, I'd like to finish, but I gotta go. The alarm, and I gotta laugh. And I go, whoa, that was pretty cool, right?
There you go.
Wow, talk about timing.
Now move forward a few months. Nina Stein's restaurant. Now my family owned a luncheonette in Middle Village. My first exposure, what I call a stand-up comedy, because my grandfather with the thick Italian accent, my uncle used to break the chops of their customers, all different things, laughing, and I think people came in for the laughs. I don't know how good the food was, to be honest. I think they came in for the laughs. So Nina Stein's up the block, says, hey, we're doing a show for our best customers. I hear you doing stand-up, because I was DJing on the side. Every fireman does something on the side, right? And I can't fix a thing. So he says, would you like to come and do a spot? I'll pay you $25. I go, you're going to pay me? He goes, yeah. I go, all right, I'll be there. So I hadn't had a paid spot yet. I've been driving 8 hours to do shows. And I get there. It's a bunch of old, drunk German guys that haven't been fed yet. It's 2 hours into the event, and they are stewed, and no stage. It's an open, like they had an open dance floor like set up. So he comes back and he goes, hey John, he goes, all right, you almost ready? He goes, you're going up next. I go, holy crap. All right, I'm ready. So here's what I hear. All right, guys, before we bring out our strippers. And I went, what did he just do? We have a comic. John Larocchia.
Oh, no.
So I go walking out there, and they want nothing to do with the guy before the strippers.
No way.
No. So I started to my horrible act, because I'm horrible at the time still, and I got the microphone, and I'm getting nothing. I'm not getting anybody looking at me, right? They're all drinking, and all of a sudden, the bar's behind me, and this guy starts moseying right at me.
Oh, jeez.
Right? I go, he must be going to the bar in my head, And he gets really close to me as he's walking by, and he leans into the mic and he goes, you suck. And it reverberates. Suck. Right? And I think a tear came down, right? I finished my act, and I tore out of it anyway for my money. I'm never doing this again.
Right.
I will never do stand-up comedy again.
Oh my!
Oh, and that's
that.
That's exactly my question. Then how do you come back from that? Like the next gig, what do you say to yourself? Like, I'm gonna go through that again.
Stupidity.
Yes,
that's what it is.
That's what it is.
People say to me, "Oh, you get on stage, you're a fireman. You must be brave." No, I'm stupid. You know what it is? You make people laugh at parties.
Right.
To me, this is the way I felt. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm going, you could do more than this. You're copping out. You can be funny on stage. Because it's different from making people laugh at a party.
Right.
Because people aren't paying money to hear you make them laugh.
Exactly.
So you can be funnier easier.
Right.
Especially if there's some friends, you got some inside jokes, right? Now you get on stage to a bunch of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point with my comedy, because I've gone up and down, stopped after 9/11, different things, and I'm producing more now and producing a heroes tour where I'm trying to highlight comics who are cops, firemen, military, healthcare professionals, giving them a shot in front of a real audience. I don't care anymore. And what I mean by that is I'll get on stage And if I throw out a punchline and it doesn't work, I'm going into the audience. I'm blaming myself. I will lose a punchline. If I see something in the audience, I will lose it. Stop in the middle of the bit, go right into the audience and start having fun with them. Come back. Or a lady, somebody heckles.
Right.
Or somebody's talking. I'll stop the bit and I'll go, lady, comedy is timing. And you're sucking the life out of my timing, right? And then I'll say, that bit would have worked if you didn't. I'm going to finish the bit, lady, but it's not going to work because you would watch. I'm going to finish it, right? And then it makes the whole situation fun because I'm right in the audience. The bit doesn't work like it would have. See, it didn't work. Everybody's into it, and I only blame myself. If my joke fails, you never blame the audience. I suck. That was my,
Right.
You'll say something like, the punchline won't work, and you'll say something like, and that was the punchline, and you move, or you say something usually gets laughs, and you move on, and then they laugh with you,
Right. So, well, I wanted to make a point about how also sometimes when you're people don't understand that comedians, the timing, the wording of the words, how things are delivered. Somebody can be really funny at a party because they're just funny. But like for somebody that like in your firehouse, when they're saying, you're a comedian, well, he's funny. But that guy who's really funny in maybe these social situations cannot get in front of an audience and organize the jokes in a way that they're going to hit.
Right.
And I think that that's really the art of stand-up comedian.
And I work with some fantastic comics that people never heard of. Just so funny, so good writing. That is not me. Like I said before, my show, Organized Confusion, I don't know what order I'm going to do what in.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it more fun for me.
Right.
Which in turn, I think makes it more fun for the audience. Because I might even say, oh, shoot, what else do I have left? And I may even take out a piece of paper sometimes and go, oh, I did that. That sucked. I did that. That was good. That was it. And, that's who I am. Yeah. ADD, just all over the place and just having fun up there.
Yeah. And you also mentioned something that was interesting about not caring, and I know what you mean by that. It's like not that you don't care about the art and you don't care about the audience, but you just don't care enough about if it lands or if it does. Yeah.
You don't care
exactly.
Work.
Right.
And I always tell and listen, I'm not an expert on this, but if I'm working with a newer comic, I say, if you want to throw something new out there, follow it with something that kills.
Right.
Because not only will the audience be with you more, you're going to deliver it better with more confidence because you're on a roll.
Right.
I'll tell you what a high. I've never really done. People say you've never done drugs. No, never. I've really never done any kind. This high that you get from stand up or doing something good. You mentioned something about time. Donating your time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's only so much time we have, right?
Right.
We're all writing out checks. Well, now it's all, to different organizations. I'm always writing out $1,000 checks. No, I'm not really. But you know what I'm saying? Always writing out. But when you go to the Veterans Hospital and do a show, when you go and help somebody move, I did something so simple last Thanksgiving. I bought 2 turkeys. My wife said, "Why'd you buy 2?" Because they were 2 for 1. I don't remember why. I said, "Just cook it. We'll find somebody who needs a turkey." Right. So we made the both turkeys, and there's this comic whose parents were in the hospital, and and their house had mold. They were living in a hotel, and I got an extra turkey. You want me to? I bring it over all the trimmings or whatever. I dropped it off.
Wow,
it's a nice thing to do. It feels awesome.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I don't do it for any other reason. 6 months later, I'm working with a guy who's shooting a video for me for my docuseries. We have a docuseries coming out for my docuseries, right? And I said, how much I owe you tonight? He goes, nothing. I go, what do you mean nothing? He goes, I know what you did for such and such 6 months ago. And she's a good friend of mine. I go, oh, really? He goes, yeah, you didn't know that. He goes, and when I found out what you did, I go, I'm going to work with that guy someday.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
all
it's an
comes back.
it's an energy thing, right?
Yes.
You get it out, you get it back, right? What you
Yeah,
put
yeah.
out, you
But
get
you
back.
don't do it. You don't do it to get it back, right?
Right.
Right,
Exactly. That's
exactly. It
the
just
key
happens.
thing.
No, it
Yeah,
happens.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
when I go to the veterans hospital, when I was going to the veterans hospital before COVID, we were doing one Sunday a month. One Sunday where it's 85 degrees. My family's out in the backyard in the pool having a barbecue, and I'm putting the sound system in the car and driving a half hour to the worst section of Queens in the heat, going into a hospital, and I'm going, I'm human. This
Yeah.
Right.
sucks.
Yeah.
Everybody's splashing in the pool. I'm sweating my balls off, carrying equipment in, setting it up. And then you get up there and you tell a joke and you look at the guys and you go, oh no, this is where I'm supposed to be.
This is
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
where I'm supposed to be. I'll go back. I'll get back to the pool in 2 hours. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but this is where I'm supposed to be today. And it's a great freaking feeling.
Yeah. And I wanted to also just when you play shows like we mentioned earlier about that first one where you're reading the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the guy yells out. You know, George and I are musicians. We played a bunch of gigs, and we remember a show early on that
Oh
I
my
talk about
God.
sometimes, where it was in the middle of it was at this place in Manhattan, and the Knicks were in the
It was the
playoffs,
NBA playoffs. Yeah.
the NBA playoffs. So the owner comes up to us while we were getting ready, and it was an Irish kind of a
Yeah.
pub, and he's like, "Would you mind starting the show during the halftime?" And we were like, what? We're like, yeah, just right to the halftime, and then just play. And so we're standing there. The basketball game is going.
And we're
We're all
sitting there
standing on
waiting.
stage, waiting for the halftime show to end, for the game to go into
Yeah,
halftime.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but you get back on stage again because you're stupid.
Well, yeah,
we were stupid, and we love it.
exactly. I kid about being stupid because you get it. You
Oh
love
yeah,
it.
no, we love it. Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, you're gonna have those gigs where you
yeah,
can't wait till they're over
Right.
sometimes.
yeah,
Right. Right.
But
yeah.
in general, you
And we
love
were
it.
laughing.
Yeah,
You know,
oh yeah, you
we were
gotta.
laughing. Yeah,
You gotta. You know,
you
you
have
got
to
you
laugh.
gotta
Yeah,
laugh. My
absolutely.
friend, a friend of mine, we did a show on the beach, right over like where the planes come down from take off from Kennedy Airport. It was pretty close in Long Beach, not Long Beach, but over further. So my friend goes up before me, and the planes are taking off like every 10 minutes, and
Oh,
he is so frustrated. And then he does a joke that doesn't work. He blames the audience, like he said, "Oh, last night I did it." And so now I go up next, and I said to the audience, "Boy, this sucks, huh? All these planes taking off. Every time a plane takes off, we're gonna sing my Leave It on a Jet Plane. We're gonna sing the first two lines to Leave It on a Jet Plane. So no matter where I was in my bit, here comes the plane. All my bags are back, right? And it wasn't the greatest show, but the audience had fun.
And
yeah,
that's the thing.
Had
They
fun.
appreciate the fact that you can make fun of yourself. You can make fun
yeah,
of the situation, right?
Yep.
yeah. And you utilize it. That's also what makes a good comic
Yeah.
is utilizing it's crowd work also, but it's also
Yes.
Right.
thinking really quickly enough to say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and
Yep.
being confident enough to then say it because you might think of it, but be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. But if you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
jump into it, that's
Uh,
awesome. So let's talk a little bit about some of the projects that you have right now because we're at 33 minutes and I want to make sure we get them in.
sure.
So you're working on a docuseries that you
Oh yeah.
mentioned.
So the docuseries, and we're always looking for people to. What better way can I put it? We need money to make these projects. So if anybody that's watching would be interested, we got some people, but the docuseries is interesting. Most of the rooms that I play now, that I produce shows, I'm carrying in. You can see the corner. My backdrop is rolled up there. I'm carrying in my equipment, and I'm setting up my sound system in the backdrop in a VFW hall, in a volunteer firehouse. We're not in the comedy clubs. We're doing all of these, and I love it because people are there to support their fire department, their community. They're there to laugh. So we come in and every show I ask them, hey, can I sell my t-shirts for the foundation? So even if we're raising money for another organization, a lot of times they'll give me half of the 50-50 for Laugh That Saves Lives.
Mhm.
So every show we're trying to raise a little money for the foundation, but also we're there to make people laugh in memory of my guys.
Right.
They're there to raise money for their local organization. So there's so much heart. There's so much love in the room, and laughter. It's different than going into a comedy club. You go into a comedy club, people are paying good money. They got their 2-drink minimum. Maybe they're getting a little tipsy. Not that that doesn't happen in these rooms. They get a little tipsy. But there's a different feeling.
Right.
So I got together with this guy, oh my God, Jim, why am I going blank? Because I'm 63. And he said, listen, there's a great story here. You know, you're raising money. And so we go into the room and we start interviewing the guy who runs the organization, the veteran from the VFW hall who fell in love with comedy over in Afghanistan because it was the only thing that he saw in months that made him feel like he was home.
Wow.
It was a great story. What was his name? I can't think his name either, but we go in and he contacts me. We want to do a show for the VFW hall. So, okay, we organized it, sell it, whatever, made them tickets, flyers. And a week before, I go, how many tickets you got sold? 8. I go, 8 tickets? Yeah. Well, maybe we should cancel the show. No, John, I'm going to get people. I'm going to go outside. All right. I didn't know he was a veteran at the time.
Oh.
So we show up at the show, and there's 8 people there. Five comics, 8 people. I go, oh, man. And I almost canceled before I left the house. I get there. We do the show. The audience, 8 people loved it. I go up to him and I go, bro, I got to be honest. I go, why didn't you cancel the show? He goes, well, when I was over in Afghanistan, comics came over. They sat with us before they went up, after they went up in the mess hall. Usually the entertainers don't do that. And it just really made us feel, and I looked at him and I go, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I go,
Now you got
I
it.
get it, man. I go, why didn't you tell me that?
Right.
I said, I apologize. He goes, what are you about? Then we did another show at the VFW for another organization, and we had 100 people there.
Nice.
But we interview people like him.
Yeah.
And they tell their story, why they joined, what do they think of Laughter Saves Lives, combining with them. And it's coming out pretty good.
That's great.
There was another woman, her son, Michael Dolan, Baldwin Fire Department, young kid, got lung cancer. He was 22 when he got lung cancer. They don't know where he got it from. And we're doing the show there every year at the Baldwin Fire Department. So my son's talking to him. So I go, let's do a fundraiser for him. They needed money. We did a fundraiser for him. I had him on my talk show. Michael passed away 2 years ago. His mom came to me and said, I'd like to start a scholarship to raise money for 2 scholarships from Baldwin High School for kids that would never get a scholarship. For kids like Michael, who are a little different, thought out of the box. And we raised money for 2 kids, two $2,000 scholarships.
Nice.
This year. So it's kind of cool to go full circle like that,
Yeah. That's awesome.
It
So you have the this docuseries going on. Tell me a little bit about this. You mentioned an event on
yes.
the
We also have
26th.
a screenplay called The Time to Laugh Again, which is
Okay.
pretty much based on my life, pre-9/11, pre-firefighter, and going through 9/11 and then using laughter to heal and to remember them.
Oh,
So a
that's
New
great.
York City firefighter loses 19 members of a firehouse. A New York City firefighter / comic loses 19 members of a firehouse, uses laughter to heal and remember his brothers. That's the log line, the quick log line. October 26th, we have a big show at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Laughter Saves Lives Comedy Tour. We are raising money for, including Laughter Saves Lives, 5 charities. So I like to fill the rooms. Some charities don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
So we combine a few charities and do a beautiful night. The expenses are spread out and they make money. We have Fight for Firefighters. A bunch of FDNY guys go to a disabled firefighters or family member's house and build a ramp for them free in 1 day.
Oh, wow.
They show up and kick butt and build a ramp. Now, we've given them money, and we're going to give them money that night. I can't hammer a nail. So I've been told, send the checks, stay away from the house. So I abide by my brother. I abide by my brother. So they had the Pendergast Fund. They assist Long Island volunteer firefighters with sick children and high medical bills. So these are the kind of charities we're supporting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a great night.
So they can get that information on the website?
LaughterSavesLives.org.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna just
listen. Buy a ticket. If you don't want to come, make a donation. Don't buy a ticket because then I think you come in but make a donation. If you want to be a sponsor on the event, we'll still take your money. We'll get you on the flyer. We have a few sponsors. Uncle Giuseppe's is sponsoring us. Supermarket.
Oh, cool.
They make great meatballs.
Yeah.
We have our biggest sponsor, Barish and McGarry Lawyers for the 9/11 community. So we got a few good sponsors on this.
Nice.
Excellent.
So I want to ask you a little bit of a comedy question, actually. Who was your comedy influence?
That was my question.
That was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, damn you.
Great question. I am a silly comic. There is no political, there's no well-written joke. I mean, some of my jokes, I can't say not well-written, but I'm silly. I love silly.
Okay.
So, watching stuff like the old Carol Burnett show.
Oh, I love it.
Those characters.
Tim Conway, yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that silly stuff. As I got older, Ray Romano, I used to really enjoy Ray Romano. And it was nice. I was in the city one night, the old Catch a Rising Star uptown. I walk in and Ray Romano's sitting at the bar with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, geez.
Now, I am a nobody. They don't know who I am, but I'm a comic. They're a comic. That's the way I always put it. So I sat at the bar and I looked over and I go, hey, how you doing, guys? And they're probably saying, who's this friggin' idiot, right? So Ray leaves the place. Now, we had mutual friends. He grew up in Forest Hills. I went to Forest Hills High School. So many of his friends, he didn't go to Forest Hills. Many of his friends did. So, and I knew that. So he goes outside and was walking towards his car, and I come outside and I go, hey, Ray. So he turns around and I go, hey, Annie Banderick says hello. Sidney Rudy goes, he goes, oh, you know Annie. So we start talking.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I said, yeah, I have to say, Ray, you're one of my favorite comics. So he goes, oh, thanks. So he gets into this like old beat up car, now he was a headliner at the time, but it was before the TV show.
Oh.
So I look at him and I go, holy crap, is that what I have to look forward to? A car like that when I become a headliner? So he goes, oh, no, John. He goes, I have another car. I go, yeah, I know you have another car. I'm walking down the block and he goes, I do have another car. I'm like, sure you do, And he responded to me. It was after 9/11. I was doing a show at Caroline's fundraiser. And his manager called me from a plane. And he said, listen, Ray's not going to be in town. He feels terrible. He would love to support you. He just wanted to let you know that he's not going to be able to do it. And I thought that was a class act.
Oh, that's very nice.
Wow. Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo?
Of course.
Big supporter of Laughter Saves Lives.
Yeah,
we did a show at Gotham, and Joe emceed the show. I must have had 8 comics because everybody wants to be on those shows. Yeah. And he comes to me before, he goes, Johnny, come here. He goes, how do you pronounce this guy's name? How do you pronounce this guy's name? He didn't have to do that. He's Joe Piscopo.
Right.
We actually did a fundraiser at the Armor Tank Museum in Long Island. Wow. Comics in front of World War II tanks. It was freaking awesome. And Joe Piscopo comes to introduce one of the World War II vets. And the guy from the place said, listen, whatever you do, nobody's allowed on the tanks. The guy who runs the museum. Please, John. And they had them all roped off or whatever. I'm doing something. I turn around. Piscopo's on the top of the tank.
Of course he is.
And he sings some songs, Sinatra songs. I go, sing a song or two before you break your leg, He's been a big supporter. Had me on his talk show like 4 times already.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. He's
cool
awesome.
A lot of fun.
Wow. I was just going back for a second. I was just curious, when you actually started, actually this whole comedy thing, I mean, did your family think you were like completely nuts?
My family was very supportive.
Okay.
I miss the days when, like, my daughter, she's a psych nurse. She's working 2 jobs. My other daughter is up at college. when they were able to help me go to most of the shows,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it was a family thing. When we did the thing at the Armored Tank Museum, my 2 daughters and my wife were the Boogie Woogie Bugle Girls because we did a theme,
Oh,
USO theme.
nice.
Oh,
So
nice.
instead of hiring somebody and paying a fortune,
Nice.
they're all singers to an extent. It was so much fun just watching them up there. You know,
Oh,
my dad went up. He was in the military. He told a joke or two. You know, so
that's so
no,
great.
they didn't think I was
Oh, that's
crazy.
good. They were
They've been
supportive.
really
Okay.
supportive.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when we're at the 45 minutes, I wanted to.
Already?
I
You know what?
know.
I think that's the first question I answered that he just answered. Got off on an agency tangent.
No, this was awesome. This was awesome. But that's what happens, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
it always happens. Where like we get
I
really
love
into these
I love
conversations.
being great guys like you and
I
and
appreciate
just
it.
chatting
Thank
like this. And I'm sure we could probably do 2 hours easily. I believe
Oh,
that.
easily. Yeah,
Definitely.
George and I talk about that all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
can we do a 2 hour show? I would, but I might have to pee at some point.
Yeah.
Just be like, hold on,
Yeah,
we'll take a break.
I'm almost there. The bathroom's right there, so I'm almost
Oh, that's good. So I wanted to actually, first of all, I want to thank you for your time. For the last 2 years, George and I, you know, we started this, and a lot of people have been going through a lot of rough times, you know,
Sure.
with the pandemic and everything going on. They get usually a lot of people have been motivated to kind of come out now and where they're doing, but there's some people that are still kind of on the fence on things, and
Yeah.
some people their jobs, they're just, you know, career changes, or at least thinking of even changing a career. That's actually happened quite a bit as well
Yep,
during this
yep.
time. Do you have any words of encouragement to the audience, you know, on looking forward to what's happening in the future?
I do. I mean, the COVID hit everybody hard. You know, comics, forget it. Comics were doing shows like this. They were horrible doing it online. And I have to say that I was in quarantine down my basement for a month. I have a second basement, a second kitchen down the basement, like all Italians. You know, and my wife said to me, "Go," and I can't hear well. I lost my hearing from the fire truck. My wife said, "Go down and get a tangerine," and I thought she said quarantine, and I was down here for 2 weeks.
Was that during COVID or before COVID?
That was right in the middle. And you know, guys are idiots because all they need to do is leave a chicken cutlet on top of the stairs every few days, and we'll stay down there another few days. So it doesn't
Right.
you know, you got to do this. You've got to interact with people. You know, it's Zoom. I am addicted. I love, you know, anytime I meet somebody new now, whatever it is from the foundation, whatever, I'll give you a call. No, let's Zoom. Let's Zoom. You know,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but talk to people.
Yeah.
Get out there. If you know, my wife is not, you know, she's on some medication, not good with lowering her resistance, you know, but she keeps in touch with people, and it's so important to communicate. Listen, I suffer from depressions. I have some really bad days. I used to, when I started doing comedy, I was so depressed some days, laying on the couch, eating ravioli every night, a box of ravioli,
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Couldn't get off the couch. Oh my God, you have a gig tomorrow night.
wow.
Dragging myself out to a comedy club, getting on stage, boom, it went on. The switch went on. Bada bing, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. Show's over, back into depression. But if I didn't drag myself out there, you know, who knows? You need to communicate, reach out to people. Hey, I'm depressed. Be honest with people.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with I tell people my you know, I have a therapist. I've gone through a few. You know, 2 of them fell asleep, so I had to get rid of them. But my daughter came on my show. My daughter tried to commit suicide 3 years ago. She is a psych nurse now. I am so proud of her for the fact that she came out on my show
Look at
and
that.
said, "Here's what I did." And I've had comics, people, "Can I talk to your daughter?" I don't ask why. "Can I talk to your daughter?" And I know some of these people were depressed or whatever. So if you're not coming out and telling people, your friends, whatever, "I'm having a rough time," you
Yeah.
know, people will be there for you. They want to help,
That's
you
right.
know, whether it be financially or just for support. So reach out is I think the one thing I can say, and I'm no expert, I'm no therapist. I've been through a lot of therapy after 9/11. We had a counselor that came to the firehouse every day, because we lost a third of the house, and he would sit and he would talk to us, and then they gave us 2 weeks off. Everybody, you take 2 weeks, and report to the counseling office every day. So I'd go down there, and I had experience from Marriage Encounter of sharing feelings. So I'd go down there, and finally I'd come down, and they'd go, "You're okay. You don't have to come back tomorrow. You're doing all right. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because I want to talk more, So that's what I recommend. Laughing is so important. Watch a funny video, watch a funny show. But try to get out and talk to people and get out of the house.
Yeah.
That
is very important. Absolutely. Yeah. Just communicating. I mean, we are we are people that need people. I mean, that's as corny as that sounds, but we are.
No, we do. We got so much of this.
Yeah.
And I love when I meet somebody I don't know, and I go, "Hey, how you doing? You having a good day?"
Yeah.
I go, "Hey," or in the supermarket, like my nobody will shop with me because I don't shut up. I'll go up to a complete stranger. I see it. "Hey, Rice Krispies, you like those?" "Yeah, whatever." And you start talking to somebody, and I might even give them a flyer for a show. "Hey, you want to laugh? Come to the show."
Yeah.
And you walk away and you go, "I didn't need anything from them. They didn't need anything from me. That was cool. That was fun. That felt great." And I think we need to do more of that. Is just say hello.
Yeah. I embarrass my kids quite a bit. I like to talk to people, and I'm always with my card, and I'm always say, "Hey, I do a show every Tuesday night. Why don't you check it out?" I also find out what they're interested. If they're interested in it. "Hey, I had this person on. If it relates to what they're interested." But yeah, I think it's so important because you also never know what you're pulling somebody out of.
Yep.
Somebody might be in this dark place, and suddenly here you come to just shed some light, and you just lift them up, and you have no idea what the impact you have. If we all went around doing that, this planet would be a lot better.
On my show and in my act, but mostly my show, I always say, interesting guest with a comedy slant and in big, bold letters on fire, no politics. And I think because of a lot of the politics, and again, I don't talk politics, but it's divided us so
completely.
much.
Yeah.
And I try to reach out to people that I don't agree with politically, and they've been even nasty to me or whatever. And if you're not the first one to do that, it may never happen.
Right.
It may never happen.
That's right.
So reach out to people. Reach out.
Absolutely.
Be that person.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for being on. We're definitely going to
That's it.
keep it. Well,
Part one.
You can come back anytime.
This is part one. This is part one.
This is part one. We'll have a whole series of these.
I'll take you up on it.
Absolutely. This has been like really a joy. And also, I want to let people know where to go. I do want to,
Yeah, laughtersageslives.org. There you go.
Yeah.
And on there, you see we're doing the show the week after this show in a furniture store. It's going to be a total disaster and a lot of fun. So
is that this one by any chance, or is this
which one is this? Laughter Saves Lives Wednesday. Which one is this? Oh no, that's my live show. That's my TV show.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
well, check this out too, because I'm gonna be
every Wednesday. We're on YouTube, Facebook, 8 o'clock live. Laughter Saves Lives live.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Please.
John, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you for taking the time and for all the work that you're doing. God bless you and your family. And we would definitely be in touch, and we'd definitely want to communicate more to get more awareness on your organization as well.
Yeah, well, let's do a show together somehow.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much, John. In memory of my guys.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
100%.
Cool.
All right.
Have
a good night.
You guys. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to go eat a sandwich now. Bye. I'm hungry. I'm going to go pee.
That's that. You say that a lot when you get older,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I pee a lot.
But talk about the power, not only the power of laughter to heal, because it does, but the power of giving. and you
Yeah.
put those two together, and you get an
Selfless
incredible
giving too.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
selfless
It's just
giving. You
amazing.
know, that really is the key thing. And for someone to have gone through such a, because it's so easy to just be like, you know what, this happened to me, and use that
Right.
as an excuse to not do anything. This
Exactly.
guy went the other way. Now he's
Absolutely.
doing even more. He's going above and beyond, helping a lot of people, and we want to help him reach as many people as possible. So thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate you. I'm going to show his site one more time. Check it out, laughtersaveslives.org. Please visit that site. Check it out. Donate, help any way that you can, because it's really, this is how we're going to save this planet, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
doing things like this. So I want to thank you. All right, George, thank you very much as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you everybody for watching. This is Counterparts. My name is John Henry Soto. We'll see you all next week. And as always,
You're listening to iHealth Radio. iHealth Radio. iHealth Radio. Your dedicated health resource online station. With yours, the one and only Hurricane H. Hurricane H. iHealth Radio.